You are listening to Zen and the Art of Triathlon.
Well, hey there, all you ZenTri freaks and geeks, and welcome to another great episode of Zen and the Art of Triathlon, the podcast where we try to simplify the world's most difficult and complicated sport and try to give you some Zen tips along the way so that you can get it done. All right, let's go ahead and talk about this show. We're going to do a little bit different of a format today because I'm in peak training for Ironman Canada up on the west coast of Canada at Whistler, and with all the training and the volume, it's really difficult to find time to do an interview and get that all coordinated and such. And also there's a lot of value in the information about how to train at 15 to 20 hours per week that I've been collecting that I thought I'd share with you anyway, and that would make for a great episode as it is. So that's what we're going to do this show. Lots of pro level, elite level tips, tricks, things to get your training done and how to set up your gear and fit it all in so that you have a successful race whenever you tackle your next one. All right, but as always, first we need to head over to a little bit of the triathlon news. Here we go. All right, three-time Ironman world champion, Kona champion, Miranda Carfrae set the record at Austria, broke the record at Austria, Ironman Austria, with a 2:49 marathon, 2:49.06 to finish 8 hours, 41 minutes, and 17 seconds overall. And this is very significant because last fall she pulled out of Kona on the bike and didn't complete the race. I think she had some sort of small injury, but it was very bothersome and it was just going to get worse and she wasn't going to perform as well as she wanted to. So the big question was, how's she going to do, especially against Daniela Ryf, who absolutely destroyed the race that day. And I think Daniela is a former ITU Olympian. I'm not sure about that. But anyway, the competition in the women's field is crazy this year. And Miranda going out and breaking the record at Ironman Austria a few months out from Kona is a really, really big deal. That means she threw it down. She threw down the gauntlet and said, I'm ready to race. And that's nice because that means we're going to have a great race at Kona with those two. All right, Western States 100 is the Super Bowl of ultra running, and if you've ever done an ultra marathon, a trail ultra marathon, and that's 30 miles or more, when you start getting around 50 miles, you start to really appreciate how insane this stuff is. And a 50 miler is about kind of like doing an Ironman, maybe about, it kind of depends on the 50 miler, like how steep it is and stuff. But you try to do a 100 mile trail run, and it's because your legs never get a break because you're always on your legs. In a triathlon, you swim a while, then you bike a while, and then you run a while. It's different. You mix it up. But to just be running for 100 miles is absolutely just brutal, absolutely brutal. And it takes a lot of it takes a lot of everything. It's really crazy. So this race starts near Tahoe and runs over to Auburn, California. And the who's who it's such a big race. It takes a lottery to get in. And then whoever wins this is pretty much considered to be the best ultra runner of the year, at least in North America. And the guy that was leading the race, all of a sudden, and he was about to break the course record on a really hot day, he got lost or something on mile 92 or 94, and then this other guy that is only 20 years old managed to win. And he's definitely there's an interview with him after the finish line. He talks just like a 20-year-old would, but he does have a lot of experience. He's been racing ultras for about 4 years. But yeah, if you want to give yourself something else to do that's very, very ultra, even more ultra than long distance Ironmans, then ultra running is the thing to do. And that's what happened. You got to stay on course. You get lost, you might be out of the game. He went off course by like several miles, and then he didn't even finish in the top 10. The guy that was leading it. The time was 15:39, and the lead woman won it in 17:57. So another Western States 100 under the belt. Really, really cool. This is one of those things where you get a giant belt buckle for doing it. It's pretty cool. Let's see. Shimano has introduced their new Dura Ace line is out, and that's the very top end of stuff. It's kind of like the Ferrari of their product line. And within their lineup, there's some small changes kind of here and there. There's two significant things. One is there's some kind of electronic add-in that it's got a brain in it that will adjust your shifting. It'll change your front derailleur for you, your front gearing for you, if you shift your rear derailleur over far enough. It'll go, oh, you know what, this guy really needs to be in the big chain ring, and it'll go wham into the big chain ring, and then shift the rear derailleur on its own back to where it should be. So that's kind of cool. And then also, Shimano came out with in their crank a power meter. So I don't have pricing on it yet, but I can tell you one thing. Well, there's a couple things about Shimano. So Shimano stuff is fantastic. It just works. It works really, really well. If you buy something that's Shimano, there's nothing that's possibly could be wrong with it. And that's nice. The reliability and the functionality is the industry standard. It's amazing. The downside is Shimano's Dura Ace line is, holy cow, it's crazy expensive. When their next step down, Ultegra, is what a lot of people, normal people, tend to race with, because it's almost as good as Shimano and it costs significantly, almost as good as Dura Ace and it costs significantly less. What you should do is my favorite place, a lot of people's favorite place, to see whether a gadget or a gizmo or some sort of electronics or something is any good is a website called DC Rainmaker. And Ray is the owner of that, and he reviews equipment, and he's unbiased. He compares things and builds charts and stuff like that. And based on that, pretty soon we'll be able to see how this power meter stacks up against the competition. But it's nice. It's built right into the crank, and it's sealed so that when you want to charge it, you just put their charger cable that's got a magnetic head on it, and you put it against the crank, and there's a magnet inside the crank that connects the two, and it charges. That's cool, because just the other day I had to change out the battery in my power tap power meter, and it sucks. You gotta take it apart, and you always risk the seal to make sure it doesn't ever get water in it. You got to make sure that you don't have like grit and sand or dust, too much dust in it, or else water will creep through. So this is cool that it's sealed up. Of course, when something's sealed up, boy, it's hard to work on it. And then you got to send it off somewhere. So everything's got an upside and a downside. Okay, now let's see. Speaking of DC Rainmaker, he did a quick review of this new trainer that's coming out. And this thing is seriously cool. Talking about magnetism and such. So there's a trick in physics that you can see where people drop a powerful magnet down an aluminum pipe, and maybe you could do it down a steel pipe. But anyway, it drops slower than it normally would drop if you just dropped it, on a table. And what happens is the electromagnetic field around a magnet creates disturbances, and it creates an eddy field. And an eddy means like reverse, like spiraling and stuff. And like when you see the river go downstream, and then there's in some places the current's spiraling and going backwards against itself and stuff, right? So that's like, it kind of creates friction in a way. Weird. It's weird. But what they did is they took rare earth magnets, neodymium magnets, which are really powerful. And they made them kind of long, so they're kind of, I don't know, they're a few inches long. They look like brake pads. And you put them up next to the rim of a wheel, a bike wheel, and it will try to slow the bike wheel down, because as aluminum goes by, aluminum conducts electricity, and the magnets create an electromagnetic field, and it creates resistance. And as the wheel goes through it, it doesn't want to go through. And the closer you put these magnets to your alloy rim, where your brakes would touch, the more it slows it down. And they said they can get this up to like 2,000 watts of resistance. It is really crazy. And I'm not sure this thing takes any electricity. Just the magnets themselves provide the resistance. There's a cord where it's plugged in. This is on Kickstarter, and there's a cord where it's plugged into the wall, but that may be to transmit the watts that it's estimating that you're putting off, so that you've got like a power readout from your trainer. But anyway, this thing is super cool. It is super lightweight. It is dead quiet. That's the thing that people want. And there's no contact with your bike. So you're not going to wear down your tire when you ride on this thing. How about that? That is crazy. And there's a lot of people that are looking for this. So I'll put the link on the ZenTri page to this trainer. I think they hit their funding goal in like 2 or 3 days. It is super, super smart. I can't believe this hasn't existed before. And those are like going to be successful products where you're like, where's this been my whole life? So that's pretty cool. All right, so that is most of the news that's going on out there. And let's see, I wanted to also start off the beginning of the show with an email from a show donor. Becky sent in a donation. And if you send in a donation to the podcast, you can get your email read on the show. But let's go ahead and read this one. This is pretty cool because this is going to kick us off into the theme of the show, and which is tips and tricks for big training. And Becky says, I have been a dedicated listener to the podcast for a while now and appreciate all that you do, so I wanted to send in a donation. Keep up the great work! ! I also have a question for you. I just purchased my first time trial bike, TT bike, and have previously ridden a road bike only, and was wondering if you could give me some suggestions on what to get for hydration for the new bike. And you bet I can, because I've been through this over and over and over again with several different bikes. And she got a Quintana Roo CD01. See attached picture a few weeks ago. Now this is a really cool bike. This is the one that Quintana Roo makes that is gray and white camo print, like snow camouflage, but with the hot pink, or you might say it's like Pepto-Bismol pink, graphics, like the QR and the bar tape, and I think the logos on the wheels. Anyway, I love this bike. I would ride this frame. It's obviously like a girl's frame, but I would ride it for sure because it is so freaking cool. And I've always loved this. And there's somebody made a bike. I think maybe they had it custom painted that was cow print, like Holstein cow. That was pretty cool too. But anyway, let's see. She sent the picture of it. Unfortunately, it's just been sitting in my house since then because I was 8 months pregnant and when I bought it, and now I'm only 3 weeks out from having a C-section. Ouch. However, I am working on getting my bike all ready for when I can finally take it out and begin riding it. Okay, so I was thinking about getting a between-the-arms water bottle and maybe a rack for a couple of bottles behind the saddle. Okay, so for everybody, the between-the-arms water bottle is also called a BTA, between the arms, and that's where a water bottle lays flat between your arms facing forward. You could of course point it backwards if you want, but generally people usually face it forward, so that it is very, very similar to your forearms, because you got a little bit of a gap between your forearms right up front, and you can fill that gap between your arms with a water bottle. Do not put it vertically. You lay it flat. And I mean, you can put it vertically if you want, but it's not very smart. But the question is, okay, so that, and also behind the seat. And do you have any tips or suggestions on what I should purchase, or any alternative suggestions? Question mark. I mainly compete in a couple of 70.3 distance races per year with a few shorter races scattered in between. That's important. Once I can get back on my bike, I'll be getting ready for Austin 70.3 this year! Exclamation point. Again, thanks for the podcast! Exclamation point. Have a great week, Becky. Okay. This is a great question, and as soon as I got this email, I was like, oh man, I should read this on the air. Because like I said, I've been through a lot of different setups, and after all these years, I've narrowed down a system that works really well, and you can, a lot of this is, like personal preference, but what I'm about to tell you definitely works. Okay, so first off, if you can, you don't want to put water bottles on the frame, like the seat tube and the down tube down there. You don't want to put round water bottles on there, because you've spent all this money on an aerodynamic bike that's flat, and then you're going to put big fat round water bottles on it. The exception is if you have particular fuel, or you're doing like a really long race and you want to grab, you want your fuel bottles to fit there, and you want to grab more and put them there, and it's just, like if I do the Uberman this fall, I'm going to put round bottle cages on the frame because I'm going to need just tons of water, and it's out in the desert and stuff like that. So I need to be able to just grab bottles and put them on the frame, because you got to think what's going to slow you down more, a little bit of wind resistance or being dehydrated, right? But in general, for 70.3s, that's short enough where you're not going to need that. So don't put round water bottles on the frame. There's a better place. So let's talk about that. The behind the saddle. Okay, that is a great place to put water bottles, because that will do two things. One, it gets it out of the wind flow because you're in front of it, your body's in front of it. And two, the other thing is behind you, just like we were talking about the eddy current stuff, you create an eddy current behind you. You create drag with like a whirlpool of air behind you. And if you fill that space with solid objects, you'll create less of a whirlpool that sucks backwards, and then you'll actually be faster. You're filling the gap. You're kind of tapering your body by putting water bottles actually right behind you. So my favorite brand that you mount to your saddle also happens to be the cheapest and the most reliable, because I've been through several different types, and it's Minoura. M-I-N-O-U-R-A, I think. M-I-N-O-U-R-A. It's very, very simple. You attach it to the rails on the back of your saddle, and the coolest thing is you can attach two water bottle cages to it. They're very close together, and they're vertical. The problem with water bottle cages that point kind of at an angle backwards is you hit bumps, and those things they call them rocket launchers. The bottles, because they're at an angle, they will bounce out often, and it sucks. Okay, speaking of bottle cages, it's kind of a personal preference thing, but there is value in considering the old style aluminum alloy ones, because they're not going to have much aero drag when they're empty. It's just real thin round. If I've got an aero bottle, I've got a bottle cage that came with something else recently, and it's got a lot of flat edges on it, and that are facing flat into the wind, like the wrong way to be aero, and that's a bit of a problem, right? So if there's a bottle in it, then it's very aero. If there's no bottle in it, then it's kind of a mess. Okay, so that's behind the seat. Now, what I've done behind the saddle for years was I bought an X-Lab brand, it's bottle shaped, but it's a container that you unscrew into two halves, top half and bottom half, and in that you put your flat change kit and bike tool and whatever else, right? And your emergency repair stuff. And that is really, really cool because it's shaped like a water bottle, so you could put it anywhere on your bike. But because it's big and round, you want to put it in cylinder shaped. You want to put it behind you and not on your frame. And then on top of that, because you rarely use that, right? And you don't want that to bounce out. You don't want to risk that bouncing out. I took an old Livestrong style silicone bracelet, wrapped it around that bottle, and then took one end of that and looped it over the top of the bottle cage. So when you jam it into the bottle cage, when you put it, you don't have to jam it in. When you put it in the bottle cage, part of it is rubbing against the inside of the bottle cage, and that creates friction, that silicone, and that thing ain't moving, right? It'll never bounce out. And then the other side is looped around the top of the bottle cage, the other side, and that's holding it in place so it'll never bounce out. It's really, really cool. And again, you're not using that thing unless you're off the bike already, so you don't have to worry about it. And if you try to take it off the bike, it'll come off in a tenth of a second. But it's just not going to bounce out. That's really cool. Okay, so, and I do that on I'm right-handed, so I put that on my left side, behind my left butt cheek, and then, because I'm never really going to reach for it, and I'm right-handed, so when I do reach back with my right hand to grab a water bottle or fuel or whatever, that's behind my right butt cheek, where I can put stuff. As I go through aid stations and grab it, I can put it back there or whatever. Okay, then, this is getting extended. So then, between the arms, I tried the, just a regular bottle cage and putting a regular water bottle between the arms. There's a problem with that, in that those regular water bottles, you may think it's not going to leak, and you may have one water bottle that you're certain doesn't leak, but that may be one time, but ride after ride, all your training rides and everything else, boy, man, water bottles freaking leak, and it sucks, and you end up getting spray all over your face, get Gatorade all over your handlebars, sticky, messy, and so that's just not, when people do that, I'm not really sure what they're planning on, and it doesn't seem like a sustainable thing. So what I do instead is XLab again makes the torpedo, and you can mount that on your between your arms on your aero bars, and that's what's really cool about that is it's got a straw that sticks out of the top, but you can fold the straw flat against the top of the bottle. It's got a little gizmo that does that, and then also there's a little top lid that pops open, and you can pop that lid open and pour water in it, or it's got like a slotted one where you can pour water in it on the fly. And that's critical because you're going through an aid station and you grab water, and you can get water at the beginning of the aid station and just kind of coast and pedal easy and dump an entire water bottle into that XLab torpedo as you go through the aid station, and throw that water bottle and hit the trash cans with it on your way out the other side, all in like 5 seconds, right? So now you've got that thing full in front, and because you get the one that's transparent, it's kind of semi-clear. You can see the volume of water you got left. Do not, during a race, try to avoid using water bottles that aren't clear, because you don't know how much you've drank of anything, and you don't know how much is left. You have to shake it to feel, and still you're not certain. But if stuff is clear, that kind of either clear or the semi-clear plastic material, then you can see how much is left, and you can be like, oh, I don't need to refill this thing's almost full, right? Or, boy, I need to refill this, and let's grab water at the next aid station. So that's so the XLab torpedo has that. Now what you want to do is you want to mount that back as far as you can between your between your elbows, more towards your body, because what you want between your wrists and your the furthest part away from your forearms, but in front of your water bottle, but before your hands, you want your bike computer. And The reason you want this is because you want to be able to see your numbers of what's happening and what you're doing, and also what you got left to do in your field of vision. And there's a reason on your car why the speedometer is up near the windshield and not down in your lap, right? And that's why the fuel gauge is up there too, so that, and your RPMs, so that you don't have to look down very far to see what's important. And on the bike, there are people who set up their bike with the bike computer back on the stem of the bike, and they try to set it up in weird places. No. You want to do whatever you can to get that bike computer in line and in front of the torpedo and between your wrists and behind your hands, so that you don't have to tilt your head. You just kind of look down with your eyes and you can see, oh, I've done 40 miles. My heart rate is 150, and that means I've got 16 miles left. Oh, my water bottle is kind of clear, because it's clear. I can see because it's the X-Lab one, I can see I've got plenty of water as I roll through this next aid station, right? And that's like the problem. It's not just a convenience thing. You look down and you start looking backwards or between your elbows way back or somewhere else off to the side to look at your bike computer, or you're shaking bottles with one hand and only riding with one hand to see how much is left. Now you have increased your risk of having a major bike accident and either hurting yourself or hurting other people or getting killed or being hit by a car or something like that. You've increased that by like 100%, 100 times by not having stuff in a smart place. So you just want to eliminate all possible unnecessary risks, and you can do that by the design of how you set stuff up. Okay, then there's one more thing. What I've done over the years, what I figured out that works really well, is on the frame I do have a water bottle, but it's an Aero water bottle, and that's where I put my liquid fuel. So because it's an Aero water bottle, it has very, very little drag penalty whatsoever, and because it's my fuel, it's probably going to stay on my bike the entire time. So I'm not going to toss it, and so it's okay for it to be a specialized style of bottle that's a little bit more expensive that I'm not going to throw away. And what I've found that seems to work the best, because there's different brands, but the Arundel or I don't know how they pronounce it, but it's a really good brand. The Chrono or Chrono Plus, I think is what it's called. Anyway, they make one that's flattened and super aerodynamic, but the bottle top is rounded so that it actually comes off really easy, and it's easy to clean and refill and just manage, and also drink out of. Really easy to drink out of, again, because of the whole danger of having complicated stuff on the bike. And so in that, I will put in the calories for my entire ride. And you'd be surprised when you do like super dense liquid calories about how much you can fit in there. Okay, and then the other thing with the X-Lab Torpedo, or other ones like it, if you put something in there besides just water, then you're going to want to, after every ride, just pop it off. It pops right off, and rinse it out with water, and then put it in like the dishwasher, the dish drying rack, in your sink, and get the sugary stuff out of there, or else it'll get gunky over time. And then Camelback makes a bottle cleaner and a hose cleaner for Camelback backpacks, and it's really cheap. So you can run that thing through the hose every few weeks and make sure there's nothing in there. So that is the setup. Whew. But also, you want a fun one is you can do the Ferris Al Sultan method and the emergency bottle holder. And I've done this in lots of races because it works. The emergency bottle holder is the crack of your ass if you're wearing a two-piece tri-suit. So if you're wearing cycling shorts and then a tank top, you you go through an aid station and you got no place to put a water bottle, or it's one of these skinny water bottles that if you put it in a bottle cage, it's going to fall right out, reach behind your back, jam your finger, not in your butt, jam your finger between the fabric at the top of your bike shorts and the crack of your butt, pull it back and twist your hand and put the water bottle in the crack of your butt. And it will stay there, and it does that thing that I said where it fills the gap behind you and in the crack of your butt, but that's not really important. It'll fill the air gap behind you. It's really aerodynamic, and Ferris Alsotan used to do that, probably still does all the time, with a Speedo on, and he won Ironman Hawaii Kona, like 2004. So it actually works, and I've done it a million times, and nobody has said anything to me about it. They're probably terrified. They're probably like, who's that weirdo? But so don't worry about what people think. It actually works. Okay. So thank you, Becky. I hope that explains a lot on how to set up your bike. I post pictures on Instagram of my bike setups, and I don't really describe them all that much, but you can kind of see what's going on there. It's pretty cool. And let's see, I have another tip for you. Green tea in your fuel. I wanted to share this with everybody because I was reading something the other day, and there's a new flavor of something coming out, and it's got black tea in it, and raspberry is the flavor, maybe like goo or something. I don't know, whatever brand it is. And they said they got the idea from a pro that likes to put black tea in their fuel for the caffeine, and it tastes good and stuff like that. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to try something. And I made green tea in the microwave, like I brewed some green tea, and then I did 2 bags. That way it's like a little bit of extra caffeine. And then I poured that in my bottle, my fuel bottle, as the base water. And then I poured in all my maltodextrin powder and Gatorade powder and salt stick, sodium electrolyte pills, all in that. So, and then added more water, to mix it all up. But anyway, I had green tea in my fuel for my caffeine. And the cool thing about green tea is it's got 2 features about it that are nice. One, it's got caffeine that's longer lasting and less jittery. And if you get caffeine that's in like gels, that's added in after the fact, that's like lab caffeine. And that shit is jittery and will hurt your stomach, and it's really hard on your body. You can tell. It's worse than coffee, as far as like much worse, as far as like it's too chemically pure, and so green tea's caffeine is smoother, longer lasting, it's more gentle, and won't hurt your stomach. And then also there's another chemical in green tea, I can't remember what it's called, but anyway, that has kind of like a relaxing effect. So it makes you both alert but chilled out at the same time, which is really nice under the stress of racing. And I definitely liked it. I liked it a lot, like a lot. And so that, again, how you do it is when you're getting ready to go on your bike ride, brew a cup of green tea, and you can make it as strong as you want. You can put 1 tea bag in there, 2 tea bags, 3 tea bags, and then by the time you're all dressed and you got your bike tires aired up, stuff like that, green tea will be nice and brewed and strong. You pour that into your water bottle, and that'll fill up, like half your water bottle, and then pour in whatever you add for your fuel. Like, I don't know, you could do gels or, whatever you're doing. I use maltodextrin powder and Gatorade powder right now. And so that's how you do it. Works really well. And let's see, also, lately I have been listening to a really good audiobook called Urban Monk. And the author is kind of he's a Westerner, but that was Eastern trained and then came back to the West, and really did a lot of work on trying to help people out medically and also with lifestyle. And it's just chock full of really good tips and tricks on how to not get so stressed out in modern society. And there's segments which are big into herbs and blah, 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 all that stuff. And Any section of the book that you don't like, it'll be over pretty quick because it moves on to another thing that's really interesting. So that's on. It's available on Audible.com. And by the way, there's also a podcast out. Joe Rogan. What was the guy's name? Let me see if I can find it real quick. Hold on. You're gonna hear me click on my phone. And he's interviewing a ultra runner that's also a bow hunter, and the ultra runner is actually pretty good, and he's 48 years old, so he's got a little bit of wisdom behind him. And let me see if I go here, if I can. I know I saved his name. Cameron Haynes is the interview with Joe Rogan, and they spend the first half of the show talking about what it's like ultra running and being out there and all the endurance and the mindset and how difficult it really, really is. And this guy just finished a 100-miler. Oh, and he's totally like a normal average guy. He works at for a city in Oregon where they get drug tested. Like he's just like he works at maybe like the freshwater plant or something. I don't know. But really, hold on, I got to change this up. Okay, and let's go back. Really just a good interview. I'm only about halfway through it. But that also reminds me, there's another podcast called Running on and it's like and the girl's voice that runs the show is a trip on how she talks. She should not be doing a podcast and should be a voiceover actress doing commercials, because her voice is just mind-blowing, like how crisp and clear it is. And it's almost distractingly good. But then she interviewed a guy that broke the record for climbing all this, the tallest peak in each continent, and then also going to the North and South Pole, all in the shortest amount of time. And the guy happens to be an ex-professional triathlete. And it was either in that interview or in another one where she was talking to somebody else that the guy was saying that the reason you do ultra distance stuff like Ironmans or Ultraman or ultra running is to get alone time. And if you listen to a lot of Zen and Buddhist stuff, and this is, oh, by the way, this is your Zen moment portion of the show, you'll notice that the whole meditation thing is really, they talk about that a lot, and to find quiet time so that you can watch your thoughts. Because when you're involved in your thoughts and you're just going about and you're distracted and you're out doing stuff all the time, your thoughts seem real because you're living them right that moment. Oh, I'm angry at that guy. Oh, I can't find a parking spot. Gosh, it's hot. And because you're in the middle of doing things. And so you think that you could somehow change things for the better, because you're always complaining in your own mind. But if you can get quiet and you can get away and sit in an environment with very little stimulation, so like a dark room, whatever, that'd be zero stimulation, but something quiet, and you'll notice that, and try to quiet your thoughts, right? Well, the irony, the secret, the trick that they're playing on you is that you can't. I've been meditating 3 years and I still can't quiet my mind. And then the master will be like, correct. But it took you 3 years of trying to, you needed 3 years of trying to actually believe it, that you cannot quiet your mind, that it's just going to keep, that's the way it's wired. It just keeps, it's called the monkey mind. It keeps chattering and jamming away, blah, 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 blah. Oh, my neighbor got a new car and I don't have a new car. They must be better than me. How do my kid doesn't have the right fashion clothes to be cool in school, and how do I get gold rims on my lowrider? But the thing is, you can, if you can find quiet time, then you can watch your thoughts as they go by, and then you can start going, oh, well, that's a dumb thought, and then, oh, that's a valuable thought, right? And to be able to judge your thoughts and see what's important and what's not, you need to be kind of, instead of a human doing, be a human being and just be still and get alone. And ultra running and ultra distant stuff, like a long bike ride, with no radio, no podcast or anything like that, is a really good environment to be alone with yourself. And then when you're alone with yourself, you can actually feel what's important. And that's the that's your Zen moment of the show. Is if you want to meditate and you want to see what's important, there's a lot of value in going long and getting really quiet. And that's where you kind of discover yourself and what's important to you. That's really neat. Okay, then we're going to get into the training log next, where I'll tell you a little bit about the details of how to actually train for Ironman level stuff. I've gotten my training up to a level volume-wise and intensity-wise where it's right at, supposedly on paper, it's right at the peak end of what's like theoretically Kona qualifier volume and intensity. And so it's really cool stuff, and there's graphs and charts and things like that. But on a side note, there's also a Zen, I don't know if it's Zen, it's just smart. There's a old saying with I don't know how old it is, but it's not that long ago, because the thing is somebody, a Christian monk approached a Zen master, or a Zen Buddhist master, I don't know, but and started telling him about Jesus, and was like, so Jesus, does this and he does that, and he says this and he says peace and help your neighbor and be kind and forgiveness and stuff. So what about that? And I guess the reaction he wanted was like, oh, I should be a Christian instead of a Zen monk, and because that sounds so good. And the Zen monk said, wow, that Jesus sounds like a real Zen guy. It's so crazy. Anyway, I don't know why I wanted to say that, but it's really funny. We all have our own perspectives on things. Oh, the training volume and stuff. Oh, so the thing I wanted to say was, if you don't, I heard something the other day, and it could be Zen, but whatever it is, it's just wise, and that's what the Zen guy and the Jesus thing is about. It's wisdom is wisdom. Doesn't matter where it comes from, and it was an open mouth can gather no foot. If you don't talk about something, then you can't stick your foot in your mouth for saying something stupid. And so I want to be really careful and say that when I'm training at the level for Kona qualifier, that is a completely different thing than actually qualifying for Kona for itself, because there's a big joke out there about, well, on paper I should do this and do that, and it's what the race day is a completely different thing, because your numbers on paper, especially for Ironman, are based on shorter workouts and your abilities at different stuff short. And what happens with Ironman is it is not just a physical fitness test. It's about half a physical fitness test, and that's where all your numbers come from, right? The other half is nutrition and how well you execute an eating plan that doesn't slow you down. There's overfueling, there's underfueling, there's not enough osmolality. Like it's instead of being isotonic, your stuff is hypertonic or hypotonic, where like it doesn't want to absorb, or it wants to absorb too fast and makes you sick, And then there's hydration and the heat, and then there's blistering, and then there's equipment failures, which is a lot of planning and experience, right? So we want to be really careful and say, just because I'm training at this level does not mean by any means, like what kind of time I'm going to get. It gives you kind of like a reasonable expectation, but it is really, really cool to be training at that level and be able to share it with you all. So I want to make sure that I can share it with you about how to train at this level, and then but let's not go as far as to expect or assume anything is going to be the result at Whistler. We're just going to have fun there. Somebody was asking me about that this morning. They said, are you looking to PR, personal record, looking to qualify for Kona? And I said, I mean, yeah, but you don't actually do that at race day on an Ironman, having your best race at an Ironman or any kind of long distance thing, I say that begins like 5 months, maybe 9 months out. And then you just get as fit and as smart as you possibly can. And then on race day, you just race with the body and the brains that you got, that you brought with you, that you learned over the past 9 months. So you can't really, PRing on race day is a whole lot of not what you do on race day. It's about 99% of what you did leading up to race day. And so it's like an attitude and a commitment to training correctly leading up to it. And so I said, I don't know what I'm going to do when I get there. We'll find out. PRs are always nice. It's a tough course, though. So PR would be actually pretty hard because there's freaking mountains in this thing. And my best race, I think I did an 11-hour one time, was here in Texas. It was hot, but it was rolling here in College Station. So anyway, so enough disclaimers right there. And so let's start off, before we get into the actual training, but to talk about the opposite of training, and it's the rest and recovery. And on that, of course, life happens. I got lifed, and we got a new puppy. And this puppy was 6-7 months old when we got her, and just tearing up the house, up in the middle of the night, wrestling with our other dog, which is both funny and loud and annoying as hell, peeing on stuff, digging up the yard, causing drama, causing arguments with me and Emily, because she's the one that got the dog, and I'm like, your dog is keeping me up, and your dog pissed on my this or that again, and of course, it's our dog, but you got to really watch out when you start training for something that you try to minimize the amount of stressors, and you say, well, why don't we get the puppy like after Ironman Canada or whatever you're doing, right? And you try to minimize that stuff if possible, and of course the dog's worth it, and there's always other Ironmans, and she's cute, so it's not that big of a deal. Another one is taking times to nap. Whenever you feel like you need a nap, take a nap. And then the other big thing is traveling. So every summer I go to San Diego for a week. It's a work week, and then it's bookended with 2 weekends, and it's in San Diego. And yeah, San Diego is like great training grounds and stuff like that, but with the travel and everything else, and staying in a hotel and the flights and stuff like that, and I go to this thing like every year. This year, on purpose, because of Ironman Canada, I said, I'm not going this year. I sent somebody else instead of me. She would have gone anyway. But I said, you go, tell me what happens at this big conference. It's a work thing, and keep me posted. I'm going to stay here this year. I'm going to take a break from going to this thing, which I did like 5 years ago as well. And it was nice to take a break, and then I'll go again next year and catch back up with all the cool stuff. And that was hard to do, to turn down something. But I looked at the calendar, and the week that this thing is going on is this week. And that would have been 3 weeks out from Ironman Canada. And instead of going to that, I decided to stay here and hopefully get in better training. And it's really important. And my training log and my numbers are actually reflecting it. It was like a really smart decision so far. We'll see. If I missed out on something huge, it's kind of like news. If it's important enough, you'll hear about it. And if I missed out on something Yeah, I'll find out. It was weird making that sacrifice, going, I'm not going to that thing this year. I was at a meeting yesterday, and they said, why aren't you at that thing that's going on every year? And I said, I decided not to go this year and just take a break. I didn't want to get into it. Other people that aren't into triathlon, they don't want to hear about triathlon. If you're not into triathlon, you probably made it 2 minutes into this podcast, and you probably said, no thanks, I'm out. I can't take this. Oh my gosh. Triathletes are like vegans. We got to tell everybody. And we got to tell them now, and it's the most important thing in the world. And other people don't want to hear it. Okay, that's it. I need to take a break from recording and get back to doing something else. And let's run an ad, and then we'll pick right back up with in the training I'm doing. You accumulate points. I'm going to talk to you about how to train by points, and it is awesome because it's so clear, it's so simple, it demystifies everything, and you can actually target what you need to do per day, per week, and then per month, and then build up. And Training Peaks makes these graphs, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And you can target the training that you want and build it over time, and it's really, really cool. So we're going to cover that next, right after this message. Here we go. All right, let's talk about Salt Stick. So I looked at last week's ad, and it was like 8 minutes long. We don't need to do that. That's crazy, because Salt Stick's actually really simple. So let's get the message to you real quick. So Salt Stick is sodium electrolyte capsules, super easy to take, and they make more stuff, different stuff, but it's really all about the electrolytes. And I have the capsules, and I absolutely love them. So this morning, I decided I only wanted about half as much electrolyte as that is in one Salt Stick capsule. So what I did is the capsules are the kind where you can just kind of twist a little bit and open them. It's really cool. And then I with my finger, I went tap, 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 tap. And then I tapped out about half of it into my bottle of fuel that I had made. I had a little bit of Gatorade powder and about a 2-to-1 ratio of maltodextrin powder to Gatorade powder in there. And there's not much sodium in that. So I was like, I'm going to add some Salt Sticks. I just reached in my Salt Stick little bottle and pulled out one capsule and put about half in there. And then guess what? I didn't have to throw the other half away. I took the other half of the capsule and I put the capsule ends back together. So I got the other half for another workout. And it's only because I was doing like an hour workout, so and I was indoors, so I wasn't like sweating like crazy. But what I'm talking about is when you buy a lot of fuels, the sodium, they have a lot of sodium built in, and you can't do much about it. And the cool thing about getting your own sodium and electrolyte from the outside and mixing it as needed is you can customize your own formula and save a ton of money. You go up, down, dependent, like I said, indoors, outdoors, heat, how long the workout is, and that's really, really cool. So, yeah, I had a great workout this morning, just cruising along, looking at my numbers, going, whoa, this is good stuff, and didn't throw away any extra sodium, and my fuel didn't make me sick to my stomach. So you can do the same thing. Super cool. Oh, I also keep Salt Stick capsules. There's a dispenser that they make, and then so I have some in there, and then I also just put them in a little snack size Ziploc and have them in my bento box, so I can just open that up and grab some. And in my running bottle that I run with, I can it's got a little zipper on the little handle. It's like this fabric handle. I think who makes it, Amphipod or Nathan? Anyway, I can open that up and grab my little Ziploc of Salt Stick capsules and take one if I need it. And yeah, that's how I roll. Oh my gosh. Okay, so you can go to Shop Salt Stick. Let me get all this stuff here. ShopSaltStick.com and get 25% off with your order. If you use discount code ZenTri25, 25% off is a lot, people. So you want to use that. I believe that is only available in the U.S., but you can go to saltstick.com and check out their store locator, and they have stores around the world, more than 30 countries, and go grab you some Salt Stick. It's not just sodium, it's a profile that matches your sweat, what you sweat out, so you're putting it right back in. And if you don't put enough electrolyte back into your what you're putting in your body, then what you're putting in your body doesn't work, and you can customize it to the exact amount that you need by keeping it separate and putting it in as needed. It's really, really cool. It's really smart. And at ZenTri, we're smart, so you definitely want to do that. So again, discount code 25% off with ZenTri 25 at shopsaltstick.com. And the stuff is amazing. Make your water stick with Salt Stick. Okay, now let's roll on with, I said we were going to talk a little bit about training by chronic training load, training by numbers, and the beauty, the zen of training by numbers. And the reason it is simple and beautiful is all you got to do is just do the numbers. And you do the numbers by day and by week, and then that adds up to months. And then boom, you have an idea of about how fit you are. And remember earlier I was saying, what's on paper doesn't really play out exactly on race day, but man, it can get you close, and it feels good to know potentially what you could do. So Training Peaks has a feature. Training Peaks is the training software. It has a feature where you can get a training stress score for your workout. And so what that is if you went all out for an hour, that would be 100 points. If you basically killed yourself for an hour. So an hour time trial, an hour sprint. Well, I don't think you sprint for an hour, but an hour all out, swim, bike, run, right? So each one of those workouts would be worth 100 points. Well, that would probably be pretty rare. So most likely you get somewhere between 60 and 80, 90 points, right? And Training Peaks knows how many points you get because you put into Training Peaks you put it in your thresholds, like what you think or what you could do for an hour if you killed yourself out there. And so then it grades it on a scale of 1 to 100, right? So a 1 hour run at a pretty good effort, might get you 80 points. A 2 hour bike ride at, a pretty lazy effort might get you 100 points because you're out there for 2 hours. But probably, not. But a 2 hour ride at a pretty good effort might get you 160 points, So it compounds as it goes along. And what's nice is this, along with your hours of training, it tells you like how hard you've been working out, right? Now, what Training Peaks does on top of that is it takes all the intensity and training load and all this training stress, and it starts adding it up. And I believe it goes back 5 months. And 5 months ago doesn't count much at all today, but yesterday counts a lot. And the Training Peaks can create a graph, and it's got this number on it called chronic training load. And I posted it on Instagram. I guess maybe I'll post it on zentriathlon.com again, of my chronic training load build since around Christmas. So there's a drop off because I fell down and ate crap and broke my elbow. So I wasn't training much around then. And also you need to take a break. And you see this big drop off in chronic training load. It's the dark blue line with gray under it. And then, and this graph has all kinds of other stuff on it. And then you can see as the training load starts picking up again for Galveston, it starts going up and up and up, and the dates are along the bottom. And then it climbs. There's a dip after Galveston and taking a break, and then it starts climbing again more and more and more towards Ironman Canada. Okay. So, told you how to get these numbers, but the thing is, like, what numbers are you looking for? Well, in the world of trying to qualify for Kona, it's around about a chronic training load of about 140 points, 140 or more for your peak training load. So, like a few weeks out. From your race, you need to be up around 140 points. And how do you get to 140 points? Well, it's unfortunate, but their point scoring systems are different for your daily versus your for your daily for like a single workout's training stress score. Remember I said on a scale of 1 to 100. Well, the those add up to your 140, except it's different for whatever reason. So you need about, I think it's around 1,100 training stress score points. So that would be like 11 workouts all out, right, for an hour. That'd be like 11 hours all out to get 1,100 points by the end of the week. And Training Peaks has a summary that you can add to the end of your week. So you can see how many hours you worked out, and you can see how many miles of each sport that you did, and you can see your training stress score. And the cool thing about Training Peaks is it shows you what you planned to do versus what you actually did do. I think it shows elevation gain and all this other stuff, right? And so that's really cool. So you can see how many points and how many miles and how many hours you're targeting for the end of the week, and you can see how far off you are and make sure that you get there by the end of the week. And that's where we start getting into the zen and the relaxation and the laid back and the flow of all this stuff, because you start to learn what it takes to get to where you want to go, because you're getting immediate feedback that you're either doing it right or you're doing too much or you're doing too little. And then if you get off track, you know that you're off track, and then you can auto-correct. Well, not auto, you got to correct yourself to get back on course. So a really good example is last week, I got a whole bunch of training in on one day on a Saturday, and then I did that on purpose because Sunday we needed to go to a kids' triathlon, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to train much on Sunday. So I kind of overdid it on Saturday a little bit, instead of kind of balancing the load. But then on Sunday, I knew I was short 82.7 points to hit 1,100 by the end of the week. And that's so cool because on your Garmin computers, I'm not sure if Suunto and Polar do this, but you can display how many training stress score points, it's TSS, this workout is currently giving you. So I rode my bike on Sunday afternoon until I hit more than 82.7 points. I went 90 points just, to be on the safe side. And then I had over 1,100 for the week, and that over 1,100 for the week translates into a chronic training load that will give me 140 or higher on the chronic training load scale for the week. And I got to say, it's really, really nice to be able to know what you're targeting and what you need to do. And the clarity in numbers, there's this thing where like people say, they turn off their brain when they start hearing numbers and all this. Oh, I just want to train this way, and this is too much. You're taking all the fun out of it and stuff. And it's like, well, on one side, yes, you're correct, but on the other side, it is a lot of fun to know what you're doing is actually the right thing. And it's like walking in, you want to walk from here. I live in Texas. I want to walk to New York City, and I could either get a map and follow a route to New York City and enjoy it, or I can spend a lot of time asking questions along the way, asking people if I'm going the right way, and then never really knowing and just kind of guessing until I meet the next person, right? So, that's like the difference. And one way allows you to really enjoy it and take in all that's going on and improve as you're doing it. And the other way, you're just not really sure. Suunto has a really good motto that they used to use, a slogan called "Replacing Luck," because they do a lot of mountaineering stuff and diving stuff. And yeah, you don't want to go by luck. I don't know how I qualified for Kona. Or I don't know how I got top 10 in my age group at this one race. I don't know. I just kind of trained by whatever. Or you could train by these numbers. And what's really cool is the numbers that they know, the top coaches and Training Peaks know about the chronic training load and the training stress score or whatever. These are numbers accumulated by them by parsing through, I don't know if it's hundreds of thousands of workouts and, thousands of athletes, and finding out, who did what and what they did. And so now they know the numbers, and it's really, really cool. So Training Peaks is free. And the thing is, the paid version of Training Peaks doesn't allow you to put workouts in the future or races in the future. You can only do today or in the past. That's where they get you, so that you'll buy a Training Peaks account, because, you want to kind of plan it. So what I did for this week is I planned out my workouts. I put them, okay, this is my ideal week, and you can drag and drop workouts in Training Peaks. And this is my ideal week of what I can do. And then Emily says, oh, it's 4th of July weekend, so what about on Friday we do this? And, oh, there's a triathlon club meeting on Wednesday night, so can you go to that instead? And I'm like, well, let me look. And I kind of just drag and drop workouts around. And I go, yeah, that'll work. And I can still look. It auto calculates everything at the end of the week, and then you can see what you got to do. So that's the way I coach myself and lots of athletes over the years. Gosh, dozens and dozens and dozens of athletes over the years. And because there's a lot more to training than just the numbers. There's the course, how hilly is the course. There's the heat. There's the fuel, how important fueling is, and learning how to fuel. Like we talk about with Salt Stick, sodium, hydration, learning the course, bike handling skills, nuances of timing. Sure, you could get 1,100 points in a week, but if how do you do it balanced so it just doesn't explode your legs, and also the build up. Week up, like 2-3 weeks up, and then a week easy. When to mix in rest days, and then also having a second person outside you listen to you and the way you're talking, and read from your writing language and your body language that, you're probably overtrained. You probably need to take, a few more days off. And then also all the injury recovery resources that a coach knows and everything else. So anyways, I do coaching this way, and it's fail-safe. It works wonderfully. It's good stuff. So if you want to get coaching, send me an email at Texafornia, T-E-X-A. There's a girl that I don't know who's T-E-X-I, and she hates getting our emails. And so T-E-X-A, Texafornia, because I used to live in California and now I live in Texas. So texafornia@gmail.com. Drop me a note, and we'll talk about coaching. I only charge $200 a month. A lot of coaches for what I do and the level charge twice that, sometimes $500 for the level of personal detail, customized workouts made specifically for you. I don't copy and paste a plan that's like months long. I build your workouts per day, per week, and that's how I roll. So, and that way you get your best results out of it. I read your notes on what you do, how it felt, and then I build more for you based on how you're feeling, so we can keep going up and up and up and start looking at that chronic training load and those training stress scores and all that stuff. Okay, let's move away from that, and I want to see if I want to give you a couple more tips. In the summer heat, I've got a friend that's training for an Ironman, and he's doing 6-hour bike rides, which is great. But if it's really hot where you are, you might want to move. You might want to do shorter bike rides. Chrissy Wellington's famous for saying there's no value in anything more than a 3 or 3.5 hour bike ride. And then do the run on a treadmill and do like 5.5 hours on the bike. Maybe 6 hours, like 3 hours on the bike and an hour and a half, 2 hours on the run brick right after that indoors. That's what I've been doing. And that teaches you to brick run better, and how your fueling on the bike affects your run. And just stuff like that. And I wanted to give an injury update. I've managed to roll my ankle and puff it up like a softball, and then I managed to fix it in a few days. I wonder, did I talk about that already? Posted a picture on Instagram of that, and so let's go ahead and go into show donations and see if we've missed anything else in the show, and then I'll talk about the Trek speed concept that I managed to snag, and why I got that model of bike. I've been promising that for a while once it showed up. What's cool about it, right after this little bit on who's been helping sponsor the show. Here we go. All right, let's take a break from the show and hop in here to talk about show donors and Hornet Juice. These are the people that keep the show on the air. And by the way, this is the very last thing that I'm recording for the show. The stuff you hear after this, I actually recorded, I don't know, like a week and a half ago, some of it. And during peak weeks of training and going back and editing this show, I can hear the pauses in my voice as I'm just tired and just dragging ass as I'm trying to keep it together, putting in the peak weeks of training for Ironman Canada. And I apologize for that, but that's authentic. That's what this really takes to get this done. And now we're into taper mode. I've done a week of about half the volume that I usually do, and then next week is about half of that. And then on that Sunday, we roll right into the race and watching all the numbers and making sure that I'm rehabbing nicely. And so that's all good. Let's go ahead and get started with show donors. Justice Phillips, my ultra running buddy. How's it going, man? He's run rim to rim. Did he do rim to rim to rim? I don't remember if he did that or just rim to rim. That's insane, man. Good job, Justice. Send in a donation. Jonathan Woodman, Han Chu, Matt Crehan, Katie Joe. How's it going, Katie? And James Godek, Eduardo sent in an email, even though that's a Latin Hispanic name. I don't know, is it Hispanic or is it Latin? I used to know the difference. But anyway, I think he's in Israel. Let's go ahead and see if this is, or he's in Ireland? I don't know. I haven't read this in a while. So let's check it out. Pop it open here, and it says, "Hello again, Coach Brett. I'm back from Galway, Ireland, where after 16 hours, 24 minutes, I concluded my first full distance challenge. It's hard to describe the feeling after crossing the finish line, but one of those things I felt was a lot of gratitude to my body, to my soul, and my mind, which were with me all the way in perfect harmony." Yeah, hey, when I did my first ever Ironman, I did it on my own, totally self-supported, and when I realized I was going to finish, I had a mile left or something like that. I remember just going, oh my God, I've done something with my body. I've fulfilled my body's purpose. We were put on this earth to be awesome and by whatever. And I did it. I did it. All this training, all this, be awesome, be the best that you can be all that you can be. And I actually did it, man. So I know how you feel. It's awesome when that happens. To my kids who were with me in their thoughts, to my friends who sent me good energies from far away, to my sweetheart, which after finished her half challenge. Oh, cool. So she did half, you did a full. Stayed around to push me in the hard moments, and there were many 3 exclamation points. And to you, Coach Brett, for your tips and podcast full of wisdom and good intentions. I like that. Good intentions. No visible defects, which were with me during the long training rides. I learned a lot and got inspired. Yes, triathlon is a lifestyle. Listen to this show and we will help you live it. Yesterday, I was riding my first long bicycle ride after the event. Oh man, that's tough to do, dude. After the event, and I was listening to your last podcast where there you were reading the first email I sent you before the competition. I feel there is a lot of synchronicity between us, and that is good. That is good. Good. I'm back to my workouts and looking forward to my next challenge. I was the first in my category and the only one, 3 exclamation points. So I got a slot for Championship 70.3 in Samorin, Slovakia, on June 2017. And I decided to take it. I'll be there. Cool. On that note, there's I'll keep that to myself. Chattanooga. And let's see. Regarding Amrita bars, they worked pretty well. About Hornet juice, I don't know. Because the package didn't arrive on time for me to take it with me. Yeah, that can happen sometimes. And let's see. I will keep learning from your Zen philosophy, listening and enjoying your podcast. You take care, and please send my regards to all the family, including the cat and dogs, of course. All the best, Eduardo. Where did I think that was from? Israel. Maybe in my brain history, I got Ireland and Israel. The eyes mixed up. But anyway, yeah, dude, that's really cool. Isn't it cool going back and finding something that you did a while back and then seeing how far you've come? And yeah, on the Zen philosophy, I've mentioned over the years, people ask me how I got started. And when I started training, I started listening to Zen podcasts by Zen masters and just, lectures on how to think. That's all Zen is how to think better. And that's all philosophy is like Stoicism, Buddhism. They're all patterns of thinking and frames of mind. And all I'm doing is telling you what I've learned through triathlon and applying it to real life and then seeing how it turns out. Turns out it's mostly true. Works pretty good. Okay, so thanks, Eduardo. And Dwayne Morin sent in a donation. Joseph Dieber. Joseph Rogalski. What's up, dude? He's got a cool BMC. Richard Tragut. Tyler Moyer. Houston Marsh. And Houston and I talked a little bit lately about racing. And James Von Hippel. And Spiros Fetsis, what's up? And Matthew Heinz, hey dude. He and I just talked about something. Maybe it's Ironman, the full Ironman here in Texas in the Woodlands near Houston might move south to Galveston. And we'll see how that turns out. Still hotter than hell if they plan to do it when they say they're going to do it. Jessica Woodruff, Matthew Frois, Allison Frutos. And next week, I've got a note here. I might talk about variability index and why latex tubes and how to use them properly. We'll see how that goes. All right, that's enough of that. Let's get back to the show. Let's go back in time and go back where I'm out there just killing myself training. I'm so glad it's over. I'm so glad. Oh man, I'm really got my act together, but I've got a fatal flaw in that my feet still hurt. I've got plantar fasciitis in my feet, and that is not going to end up well on this run. And I got to decide what to do about Uberman. Do I just not do anything until my feet heal up, which would probably be pretty smart. And I could swim and bike, but man, running just seems to tear them up. And so I'm kind of stuck. I need to decide, and I guess we'll find out coming up soon. I was going to kind of wait until after Canada and see how I do there and see where that leads and what I want to do after that before I do anything else. And Uberman's the only thing I've signed up for. On the Chattanooga thing, Austin 70.3 a couple years ago, I think. I don't think it was maybe it was last year. But anyway, I did it. And I got 10th in my age group, and I missed a spot by like 3 or 4 spots to Worlds. And Worlds, if I go this year and I try really, really hard, and if I happen to manage to qualify for Worlds, the race is in Chattanooga. And my grandparents' old lake house is an hour from Chattanooga on Watts Bar Lake, just upstream from Chattanooga. And I grew up in that area, and I would love to go back. So the world, just when you're trying to get out, they drag you back in, I'm like, I need to let my feet heal. Oh, but in October, there's a race where I could qualify to race at the big race in Chattanooga, which would be wonderful. I'd be so excited to race there. I love that part of the country. It's so beautiful. And our family could gather there. We'd have a place to stay, and it'd be really, really neat. So just when you think you're out, they drag you back in, right? Okay, let's go ahead and get back to the rest of the show. Here we go. Hello. All right. I'm on my way to the pool. It's you probably hear the air conditioner blowing like crazy. It's 95 degrees here. Sunday afternoon, July 3rd, the day before the 4th of July. And did a big ride yesterday, and then had to take a pause for a while, eat some lunch and rehydrate, and take a nap for a little bit before I hit the treadmill and started running. And today, all the numbers are good and everything like that. Weighing myself before and after these long rides outside, and even the treadmill run last night, or this afternoon, to stay on top of hydration and see how much water I actually need is really, really handy. Super easy to do. And the setup on the bike, remember earlier I was talking about you have a clearish between the arms aero bottle in front of you on the bike. And what's cool about that is you can drain that on an interval, and then you're hydrating correctly. So if I polish that thing off, and it holds a lot of water, like probably 30 ounces or something like that. If I drain that every half hour, then I know my rate of intake, and I finish it on the half hour, and I fill it again, and then drain it, fill it again, drain it. And so that's a really good mechanism for timing your hydration intake. And I was on the bike this morning, went out for a 2-hour ride. Numbers this morning exactly the same as yesterday, so recovery is awesome, and numbers are really good. And also I started a new trick with the salt stick pills, where the big thing with base salt is it's got this little kind of chapstick size container that you pop the lid on, and then you put some on you turn it upside down and put some on your thumb, and then you lick your thumb, and then put it back in your pocket. Well, I've tried that because I picked some up at Ironman Texas a year ago, and then had it. The containers, kind of cool, and I had it for. I tried using it for a while, and just filled it with my own salt. And the problem I ran into is once stuff starts getting sweaty and wet, well, the lid doesn't want to close on that thing, and the salt inside gets all kinds of, but jams the lid, and then you can't close it all the way, and then it gets more and more wet, and then stuff won't come out, and then you're trying to do this with one hand, you're trying to turn things upside down, and lick your hand, and now you're riding with one hand, and bam, the little doe puts her little doe lips down by the creek with her big brown eyes, and then the hunter shoots her right between the eyes. Bam! That's from my cousin Benny. You gotta check it out. Anyway, what I found that's really cool, I swear I just figured this out this morning, was, because I've kind of done it, but I haven't done it like this. I took the salt stick capsule, and I pulled it. I had a Ziploc baggie out of my bento box. Open it up out of the Ziploc baggie, put it in my mouth, put the Ziploc bag back in the bento box, and you don't need to seal it. It'll be fine. And I chew on it a little bit until it starts to break open in my mouth. And as soon as it starts to break open and salt starts spreading all over your mouth, then I push it up between my lip with just my tongue. Like between my upper lip and the front of my mouth, like on one side. And I alternate sides, 30 minutes on this side, and then the next 30 minutes when I take another pill, I put it on the other side. And the thing that is really cool about having salt in your mouth is your mouth can actually absorb it, supposedly. And then now it's not in your guts, and you get that salty taste in your mouth, which I think helps alleviate cramps. And then and it stays up in the lip of your mouth for like 10, 15, 20 minutes. And every time you take a sip of water, more of it dissolves and goes into your digestive system. So you get a slow release, hands-free, as much sodium as you want, in a really cool, reliable way. I was like, man, I think I just figured something out, like something important, like really, really cool. And salt sticks, awesome, and I love it. But this would work for a lot of different kind of salt pill types and stuff. So we always try to help everybody here on the show. And then this is a second week or maybe third week of targeting, specifically trying to target training stress scores and trying not to overtrain or undertrain. And about middle of the week, I started feeling like crap. And so I backed off a little bit. And the next thing I knew, it's the weekend. And I'm like, okay, well, I need this many points. And lo and behold, I'm right on track and I feel fantastic because of tracking with training stress score points. I'm at like 1,090, so I need 10 more points to hit 1,100. And that's funny because I'm gonna go swim because I haven't swam in 2 days, and so today would be a great day to go swim. I'm pulling into the club right now, and that'll give me, I don't know, between 50 and 70 points or something like that, and I'll be over the top, and it'll all be good. Isn't that cool? Such a smart way to train. I love it. In fact, it's so smart. I'm gonna look for a place to park in the shade. Is that shade parking right there? Kinda, almost. Dang it! There's no shade. Feels like there should be shade here. That's how close I can get. Yeah, there we go. Shade over the windshield. I'm trying to inch up. There we go. Now put it in reverse, get off the curb. Okay, now put it in park. And we're gonna leave it here for a second while I wrap this up. Okay, had the Triathlon Club meeting on Wednesday night. It's a good refresher on, only certain people are into the long distance stuff, and so many people are into the short distance stuff. And a few people at the club said, I just want everybody to know that I'm not into going long. I'm into being fast. And the thing is once you get fast, when you go long, you're not going any much slower, So just because somebody's going long, the faster peeps are averaging 23 miles per hour on the bike, over an Ironman. And that's really fast over a sprint. So just because somebody goes long doesn't mean they're going slower. And just because you like to go fast, that does not mean you need to stick with the short stuff. You can go half Ironmans fast, man. We're going so fast on these triathlon bikes, all of us, that it's really almost like riding motorcycles, man. They're so skinny tires on fast terrain. A little pothole here, a little stick there. I got a dog that chased after me, just jumped out of the bushes, And your reaction times have to be like really, really fast. So it feels fast, man. And let's see, that also reminded me, because I wanted to talk about that and about nutrition. When you're going short, you kind of seem to forget about nutrition, and it doesn't seem to be that important, and it's really not, but it's still handy stuff to know that when you're doing an hour workout, you don't really need bottles of Gatorade and all of this other stuff. But I've got a cool trick for you I've got a gel flask that I got, I guess, with EFS, which is a fuel brand, when I bought some of their stuff a while back. And Hammer also has a little gel flask where you buy their gel or their fuel or whatever in bulk-ish, like a container. And when you buy it, it comes with a little flask that's like 6 ounces or something like that. And what you can do that's kind of cool is you can fill that with like honey or maple syrup or, I don't know, whatever your favorite thing is. I guess Gatorade powder, maltodextrin powder, whatever. But the on yesterday's ride, I had it filled with dissolved salt stick capsules so that I could take as much as I wanted right out of the bottle, and it's already kind of diluted with water a little bit, because I was trying to figure out, how to eat them with water so they don't hurt your stomach. If you take too much salt at once without enough water, man, it makes your stomach hurt. And when we had Jocelyn on here the other day, she was talking about that. So it's kind of silly to go for a 1-hour swim and have a bottle of Gatorade, right? Because you're not going to need an entire bottle of Gatorade on the side of the pool. What I like to do is, what I got here in my hand is, I've got maple syrup, 100% Canadian real maple syrup, which is like 50 calories per tablespoon or something like that, and it's kind of a slower burn. It's really weird that it is, but it's true. And in this flask, and I put that in a bottle of water by the side of the pool. And if I just want water, then I just drink water. If I'm like, I could use a little pick-me-up of energy, then I got the maple syrup and water to dilute it so it doesn't hurt your stomach, my stomach. And it's really, really cool. And every time I'm done with the flask, I put it back in the fridge, and we're good to go. So tomorrow, I think we're going to wrap up the show. I'm going to try to go super long. It might be my last-ish really long day. I got 4th of July off from work, and I'm going to try to go, we'll see what happens. And we're going to try to go long on the road, a little bit slower of a pace, so that I can fuel and so I can run, because, it's all crazy hot and stuff like that. But I've got it in my little to-do list to have it all, sped down, have it all backed off and whatever, so I can go long and test out fueling and stuff, because we're getting really close to race day. But right now we're about to hit the pool and just cruise and gather some points and mix in some intervals. Last swim I did what I called self-selected intervals. You swim easy for a while, then you swim hard for a while, you swim easy for a while, and you swim hard for a while. How long you swim hard? You swim until it kind of burns a little bit, and then you back off. And that's instead of doing like 1 minute hard, 4 minutes easy, 1 minute hard, 4 minutes easy, or like 200 sprint, 500 cruise. No, instead you just swim easy to warm up, and then hard for a while, just like you would if you're out riding your bike. You got like a hill. So actually, that's what I imagine I'm doing. I'm imagining that I'm swimming into a current, and then as I'm swimming, I start speeding up and speeding up and speeding up, and the current either gets stronger, or I imagine I'm swimming uphill slightly, like on a treadmill, and I'm increasing the grade ever so slightly. And then after a while, this gentle increase, you can do like every 50 yards, speed it up a little bit, speed it up, speed it up, speed it up. You'll feel like you're starting to blow up, and that's when you stop, take a breather for a few seconds, swim 50 yards, breaststroke, backstroke, whatever, kind of relax, and then start over again. And it works great. Kick ass, sea bass. All right, I'm going to go in and swim. Enough yakking. Let's go. All right, let's take a break from the show and talk about livingfuel.com. Whew, man. You know what the latest thing I've been doing with Living Fuel is they have an amino acid powder. And if you add amino acids, protein, to your carbs, It's one of the strategies for going lower carb, higher fat, kind of metabolism efficiency kind of thing. It slows down the carbs, and then it gets you in some protein that's really good for you. Anyway, Living Fuel has some really high quality amino acids. So when I finished my bike ride this morning, I made a bottle of like half strength Gatorade. That way it's not too sugary. And then some of those amino acids from Living Fuel. It's really cool. But I've got a message for Living Fuel, by the way. I am out of the green smoothie. That's my favorite one. And then there's like a berry smoothie powdered mix. It's got like chia seeds and all kinds of cool stuff in it. And also they have these really cool snack bars and like these coconut packets of chia seeds and coconut stuff. I am out. I don't know what to do with myself. I wander around my kitchen and my house like lost. I bump in the walls. I fall down. I'm like, oh my God, I need more Living Fuel. So if I was to go get some, I would go, oh, by the way, they're also like super vegetarian, clean, and vegan and stuff like that. But anyway, you can go to livingfuel.com and order their stuff. They have a person that works there that is big into ZenTri, so I'd like to give them a shout out. They got a really cool backstory too. So yeah, go check them out, livingfuel.com, and show them some love. And let's go ahead and get back to the show. Hello. Well, that swim was silly. It was a good swim. I was doing 15 minutes and then taking a break and taking a sip of maple syrup, just like the tiniest sip, because I've been training my ass off and I just need calories, you know, and washing it down with water. Oh, by the way, that reminds me, there's a tip I give repeatedly on the show, but it's been a little while. Before every ride, pick glass out of your tires. It takes a couple rides. It kind of depends on how many miles, you know, for glass to work its way through your tire. And I was heading off on my ride this morning, and I rode through a bunch of glass, and I mean, I knew it was coming too, which pissed me off. And at the next hilltop where I'd slowed down, I stopped and spun my tires real slowly looking for glass, and boom, found a shard of glass in my rear tire, which is a pain in the ass to change. And I've got a Zip 808 with disc cover on it, and freaking on those, it's an older one with aluminum rim, and it's those are a pain to freaking change a tire out on. And anyway, the tire doesn't want to come off, and if it's a billion degrees and you start getting sweat everywhere, everything gets slick and crappy. Oh, and Kai went for a run this morning on his own. I'm so excited. And he went for a bike ride with Emily for an hour yesterday. I'm so excited. Yes. Anyway, so I prevented a flat by stopping and picking glass out of my tires. Ouch! Pow! Anyway, so the thing is every once in a while during your rides, and every once in a while starting off on a ride before you get going, and if you ride through glass, stop and spin your tires and pick glass out. And I keep a little knife blade in my pliers, and a knife blade. It's like a tiny little Leatherman in my bento box, storage box behind the seat on the Trek. And that's what I use to pick glass out. And I'm so stoked that I saved myself from having a flat tire. Ugh, it's the worst. Anyway, and if you ride through glass, another trick you can do, at least on a regular road bike with some clearance. Most bikes with the front tire is, if you're wearing bike gloves, right after you ride through glass, rub the front wheel, let the front wheel run through your hand with your bike gloves on, and your glove will knock all the glass off before it starts working its way through the tire. It's a pretty cool little trick. Oh, and so, okay, speaking of, my watch is beeping now. And speaking of that, it's going to beep a lot because I can't, back, there you go. I was swimming 15 minutes, which ends up being about 1,000 yards for me, and that's a 25-yard pool. And then first one, I swam 975, and I took my cap off because the water was warm. Oh, and I was talking to Brent, who is doing Ironman Canada with me, and he's testing out a wetsuit, but the water's so warm, so I'm sure we were talking about he's just dying in that thing. But you got to test it out, If you wear your wetsuit in the pool, rinse it off with fresh water. If you wear your wetsuit in salt water, wash it off with fresh water. Worst thing for surfboard, wetsuits, all that stuff is salt water. You got to rinse it off. Anyway, we were talking for a little bit, and we just had a nice little talk. That was fun, talking with him. No rush, just blabbing. And talk about Gary. Everything's going wrong for Gary. He's got a new bike, but of course my bike took a few rides for it to settle in and quit making noises, and the handlebars almost fell off my bike twice. Tighten everything down, outride and get the position right and all that stuff. But let's see. So I was doing 15 minutes. I was going to do 4. I kind of decide what I'm going to do swimming after I get going. And I'm like, okay, this is what's going to work you today. All these years of swimming, I got a billion workouts, in my mind. So I'm like, okay, let's do, I swam for a while. And then I'm like, okay, at 15 minutes, it's actually like a couple 100 yards in, I kind of know what I'm going to do for the rest of the swim. I can kind of feel like what I need and like how banged up. Oh man, dude, talk about bangedup.com. Don't ever go there. My, legs were like lead. Holy crap, they were just sinking and everything. But I digress. I went first 15 minutes I stopped and I'd swam 975, which is slower than I wanted. And then next 15 minutes I'd swam total 1975, which meant I'd swam 1,000 yards. And so that meant I was swimming 25 yards faster. And I think actually my first one, I probably missed a yard. So I was probably swimming thousands right on the button. So probably 126 pace, 127. Anyway, so then I was like, man, this is nice. I like these 15-minute sessions doing about 1,000 yards. And whatever it is for you, if you're faster, slower, whatever. And but 15 minutes. And then a short break, and then 15 minutes and a short break, 15 minutes, and a short break, right? And then so on the last one, I was like, we'd been watching Phelps and Lockie swimming, and Sun Yang he wasn't in this video that just came out, but Sun Yang has just the coolest freestyle form I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's like Phelps, but even more Phelpsy. And I was just like, man, I'm going to swim like Sun Yang and get low and slick and just, do the weird pull with my arms and stuff. And I'm like, go. This is my last 15, right? 15 minutes, my last 1,000. And I'm like, oh, this is something I can count, I hate counting in the pool. And so I go 50, 100, 150, 200, 250, 300, 350. And then I get up to about 700, 750. And then I'm like 800, and then I'm like, oh, did I lose count? Because you can easily lose count. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll look at my time as I got this last. I should have like 2-3 minutes left, a minute and a half or something. And as I do an open turn instead of doing a flip turn, I look at my watch, and my watch says, hey, would you like to swim? And I'm like, what? And I had never hit start on my watch for the last 15, and this was critical. This was the ultimate test. This is in one day. I was going to test, like one swim form versus another at, oh my gosh, like after being warmed up and going, like this is like critical that this works. And I forgot to hit start on my watch, and I was like, damn it. And that's the kind of crap that just happens sometimes. So I hit go on my watch and swam an extra like 200-300 yards. But that's just the way the ball bounces, man. Not much you can do about that. So next practice, I turned off that timer, and next practice I'm going to turn that timer back on that beeps at a 124 pace per 100 yards, and see if that's swim form. Because I worked on it for 15 minutes, and there's a swim technique that I've got that at the start of a swim, for the first few minutes, it's long and easy, and it hauls ass, and I've never been able to figure out what it is. And I God, I wish I could figure that out. I should have somebody video me. Everybody video themselves swimming, and also with a pace clock. And then when you're swimming the fastest at what looks like the easiest effort, then you got it on video, and that's what you should replicate. That would be pretty smart. We got all these devices nowadays, man. Come on. We should do it. All right, I'm going to go back to the house. We're going to go out to the Olive Garden tonight. Some classy Italian. And but first, I'm going to have a Shiner Bock, which is a really good Texas beer. If you're not from Texas, but and you've never had it, you see this brown beer bottle with a yellow label with a ram's head on it. It says Shiner Bock, B-O-C-K. It's a very German beer. Central Texas hill country was settled by Germans and Czechs, and it's a very, very good beer. And I'm gonna have one right now back to his house, and we'll catch up a little bit more. Try to wrap up this show. See how the big day goes tomorrow. See predictions versus reality. It's gonna be ugly, I can tell you that much. All right, out, bang. All right, it's Tuesday morning. We're going to do a review of yesterday's long workout with tips on how to do your own. And also we have an interview with Lord Sandwich. I am here with the Lord Sandwich, the Trek Speed Concept, and I've been promising this for a long time. So the coolest thing about this bike that I'm so excited about, and it ends up being totally worth it, is the electronic shifting, and we're going to go ahead and talk to Lord Sandwich about that here for a second. Lord Sandwich, Mr. Sandwich, how do you feel about the 4th of July? Oh, well, that was kind of short. Oh, that was kind of short. What do you think about the elections with this crazy dude, Trump? Oh, wow, that's pretty interesting. And then, in the back of your mind, back here, way here by your bike butt, what do you think about all this stuff too? So that's the electronic shifting. It's so cool. So cool. Oh my gosh. But besides that, it's just a really aero bike, and it's got a lot of integrated stuff, which I'll cover in a little bit. But one thing I wanted to cover while I've still got battery on my recorder here is yesterday's workout, and what Charlie Foxtrot that was. Oh my gosh, yesterday. Talk about adapting and overcoming ridiculous obstacles and teamwork and communication. Oh man, hold on. Let me sneak out of the house here. We're gonna go swim. I'll talk while we're driving. Hold on. All right, we are back. We're in the car on the way to swim. So yesterday's long workout. It's funny that we talked about electronic shifting, because those of you that follow me on Twitter are about to know what I'm talking about. The ride started out just after 7. I don't know how I get up at 4:30 in the morning and still take 2.5 hours to get out on the bike. It blows my mind how that happens. But anyway, I'm a slow mover to get started, which means I'm made for long distance. And let's see, started out at 7. And started cruising along. My fuel for the day was 100 calories of maple syrup with 200 calories of maltodextrin powder mixed together, and salt stick capsules mixed in, and also salt stick capsules on my person as needed. And then also I'm trying to think what else I had with me on the bike. I've always got reserve stuff just in case. Tons of water. And the goal was 3.5 hours on the bike, outside. That's important. And then it gets so hot here. We have heat advisory warnings. I think it got up to 106 yesterday, heat index. So indoor run on the treadmill as a brick run. All continuous. No break for lunch. Just go to kind of see what happens. And by the way, no matter how much water I drank, I was always dehydrated. So I'm gonna take pauses here and drink some water, but I'll do it away from the mic for everybody. Man, I still need that. Weighed myself before I left. 180, I think, is what it was. And I'm 6'2.5", 6'3", somewhere in between there. So 180 is actually a pretty normal, good weight range for somebody of my height. And backstory is I used to weigh 230 something pounds before I started triathlon, and was a high school athlete turned fat, thinking I was in shape, but I was not. So anyway, the also used to smoke half a pack to a pack of cigarettes a day, kind of depended if it was a weekend or not, and also drank tons and tons and tons of beer. And you can turn your health around. Boy, I was on the fast track to nowhere, and I knew it. I was trying to find something to do to get away from all that. Anyway, I started off on the bike ride. As soon as I opened the door, it's 1,000,000,000 degrees. It's like you can feel the heat roll in the house, because it was 86 degrees at 7 a.m. Okay, so I start on high humidity too, and I start riding, and I'm doing my normal route. I keep doing the same route over and over and over and over and over again, in spite of other people asking me to go ride with them, and that way I can measure stuff. That way I'm consistent. And triathlon, long distance triathlon, can be a very lonely sport while you're trying to figure all this stuff out. And I'm doing pretty good. And I went ahead and marked on my fuel bottle. I have all this fuel mixed into one bottle, and I've got it marked on the side at 300 calories per hour of 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, right? Which is a really smart strategy. If you got a good water bottle, aero bottle that's clear-ish, you mark it on the side with a permanent marker, and then you know if you know about how long the bike ride's going to take you, and then in a race, and then you know how much to not overfuel, and you practice in training. And so I'm cruising along, and I get about just under 2 hours in, and I'm feeling pretty good, although I'm starting to feel a little bit wonky, like maybe I'm overfueling. The nice thing about maple syrup is if you start overfueling with that, it doesn't really make you that sick. It makes you, it's weird. It just doesn't make you that sick. You just start slowing down, and I like that about maple syrup. That's a pretty cool thing. But then I get to the section where I'm probably going to have a tailwind for a long time. Oh, and I'm still going out, further out and out, away from my house. And all of a sudden, and I've got it in my mind. I'm listening to Pandora. I'm just jamming out. I'm listening to Arabic dance music, like it's really cool. And I'm just jamming. There's other cyclists out waving, and all of a sudden my front derailleur starts acting weird, and it was right after I got blown sideways hard by a cotton truck. I'm out where there's plantations and big farm fields and the Brazos River bottom. There's big cotton. They're growing cotton at the time, and I get knocked sideways a little bit. It's cool. It didn't bother me. But and after that, I shifted into the big derailleur, big chainring, and it acted weird, and then I did it back to the small chain ring, and it shifted back, and then I went to the big one, and then nothing happened. And right there's a railroad crossing, and so I slowed down to go over the railroad tracks, and I decided to start looking at things, and the front derailleur won't shift at all, and the rear derailleur will. And I was like, oh crap, it's broken somehow. Right before my race, I broke my electronic shifting. What am I going to do? And then I remember that one of my friends, I can't remember who it was, said when your electronic shifting battery starts dying, the front derailleur goes first, and then the rear derailleur will go. You get more shifts out of the rear derailleur, and then it's before it goes totally kaput. So your front derailleur going out is your sign. But I didn't remember how many shifts it was in the rear derailleur, and you got left. And now it's stuck in the small chain ring too. And on this tri bike, the chain ring, the front small chain ring is really small. It's a semi-compact. So it's like a 34, 36 or something like that. And I was like, oh, and it's really, really, really windy out of the south. And I've been riding into the wind. And I was like, oh, crap. I got out a bike tool and tried to think of like how I could remove the front derailleur so I could put it in the big chain ring. It will not move into the big chain ring, period. Just won't. It's locked. And what's going on, the problem is if I put it in the, if I continue this workout, this is supposed to be a big test workout. And if I continue this workout out where I'm at, it's going to be small chain ring with a tailwind heading back. And so I'm going to be putting out like half the watts, half the output that I normally would be. And so it's not a good test workout. And I'm testing fueling, and I'm testing pacing and all this other stuff, and sodium and blah blah blah. And I was like, oh man, dude, this is not good. So after some consternation, I'd taken off my bike gloves and my helmet, and I'm looking at everything. I got out my toolbox, and no avail. So I call Emily, because it's only like 9 o'clock Monday morning, but it's 4th of July. And I call her and I go, hey, can you come get me? She's tracking me on her phone. Can you come get me? I'll start riding towards you. And actually it was, even though it was a tailwind, it was uphill for a while, for about 15 minutes. And I'll ride, so that was okay for the small chain ring, even though it was a tailwind. I'll ride towards you, you drive towards me, pick me up in the car, and then I'm going to put my bike on the trainer and finish out my 3.5 hour ride, right? So she and Kai come and get me, and I load the bike up, and we go home. I managed to get in 15 minutes of riding, still at pretty good watts, good like test watts. I was holding my average. And for me, it's like probably 220 watts for the race. We'll kind of see. The race is so hilly, it's hard to tell. And then I'm cruising along, and we get to the house, and I put the bike on the trainer, and man, that takes a long time. Putting the bike on the trainer and getting a computer set, I got to do an 1.5 hour ride because I'm 2 hours in. I got to do an 1.5 hour ride on the trainer, and the whole time I'm not drinking enough water. I realized later, and I'm still sweating like crazy, but I'm not drinking any water, right? Because I'm not on my schedule of drinking. And I put the bike on the trainer. I didn't look. I don't even want to look to see how much time it took. But you got to load it up with like towels and all your drinks and your computer and like all this stuff. Oh, and while I load it up, I've got it charging on the charger, and I show Kai how that works so that he can learn all the electronics and stuff like that. And when I was trying to fix my bike out in the field at the railroad tracks, I was like, how do you test? I couldn't remember, because this has never happened to me before. I couldn't remember how to test the battery to see if it was the battery that was out, right? So on my phone, covered in sweat, I Google it, and it's like you hold down any shift button, and it'll, for more than half a second or something like that, it's like it's a long hold on the shift button, and the light will flash maybe orange. Mine just flashed red, that it needed to be charged, but it'll flash green if it's got a full charge-ish. And so that's what I did when I was out there, and it flashed red. And I was like, oh, okay, so my battery's dead. I haven't ruined my bike. But man, this is stupid. It's one of my pinnacle workouts for testing for the race, and I've managed to get so into training that I forgot to check my bike charge. I just assumed it would be okay. And I guess I've had my bike about a month, but just tons and tons of riding and stuff. So when I put my gloves back on and I started riding back towards the house to meet Emily at the car, my hands started feeling like they were on fire. And I was like, what is going on? And I had laid my gloves in fire ants, which is really cool. A couple days ago, I got stung by a hornet or something on my leg, which still hurts. And I get on the trainer and finish out my hour and a half ride, and something is off. Like, I can't take on fuel. So I'm riding pretty much on fumes. I could take in very, very little fuel. And looking back on it, I probably wasn't drinking enough water while I was getting everything set up to go back on the trainer. And so I wasn't able to take in more stuff. But I got an upside to that in a little bit. And then when I finished the bike ride, I made sure I didn't eat anything. I laid on the floor for a little while, for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just like, what in the world is going on? This is insane, And then I got on the treadmill, and the same thing on the treadmill, I couldn't take on that much fuel. It made my stomach hurt. And when I weighed myself afterwards, I'd lost a few pounds. So I was down on water, but nothing crazy. But the whole well, at the end of the treadmill run, I managed to increase speed and increase grade on the treadmill. Toward the last mile or 2 miles or so, I was running 3.5% grade at probably a 9-minute mile uphill. Maybe, I think an 8.5-minute mile actually. 3.5% grade, which meant I had plenty of energy and all this other stuff. And I looked back, and I'd eaten, I was so hungry when I was done. I'd eaten 900 calories total by the end of that thing. Over 7 hours. My 5-hour workout ended up taking 7 hours by the time Emily came and picked me up, and I got the bike all set up, and then the ride on that thing, and then transition to the treadmill and moving stuff around. And I made sure I didn't eat anything except for the fuel that I'd made, so I could see, how my fueling was working and stuff like that, and sodium and all that stuff. And talk about a good indicator of how getting your metabolism kind of worked out and being more efficient can work for you. I was pretty much running on fumes, but going faster and faster and faster towards the end, and felt really good. Like, just to be running uphill after 7 hours at that fast of a clip was like pretty amazing. And that was after I backed off the fueling and let stuff kind of settle. So I think I'm just taking in too much fuel. My body just doesn't like it. There's something, I wish I could figure that out. But so maybe 250 calories per hour, probably about right. And also, I wanted to share it with everybody, the failure. Well, two things. Somebody said on Twitter, and I thought this as it was happening, as I was stuck out there where it was like 90 degrees, and my hands are being eaten alive by fire ants, and I'm stuck in a small chain ring, and I'm having the embarrassment of having somebody to come get me. They said, you will only forget to charge your battery once. And I was like, yeah, because it has to happen to you for you to realize how to burn into your memory, to not do that, but also how easy it is to check it. It is so easy to check your battery on your bike, and the charger's simple. Everything's simple about it, and And I totally agreed. I said, it's like, yeah, for the rest of my life, I'm just going to be like, every once in a while, probably once a week, be like, probably more often than that. Fire ants suck. Check the indicator light with just a press, and you turn and look over sideways, and then you know how much charge your battery has. But then also being resourceful. And triathlon is hard, and it seems to me like when you're trying to train for triathlon, it's like the world is conspiring against you to stop you. Everything is going wrong constantly, and it's death by 1,000 cuts. And you got to decide that you're going to get this stuff done, and nothing's going to stop you, or it'll take something huge to stop you. If a family member is in dire straits at the hospital, of course I'd cut it out. Or Emily needed me for something, I'd cash in a training day. But little obstacles, you immediately need to start thinking, how am I gonna recover this day and still get something out of it? And yeah, I think old me and or less resourceful me, or somebody that's new to the sport would say, oh well, my shifting, my derailleur doesn't work. I guess the workout's over. And that means you really don't want it. If you really want it, then you're going to figure out a way to get it done. So again, what I did was I rode in the small chain ring and towards the house, and had somebody come get me, come in the other direction. And then as soon as we could, we put my bike on the trainer, and I finished the workout indoors on the trainer instead of giving up, So, yeah, that's what it takes. And I am here at the pool, so I got energy this morning. Obviously, I'm all chatty, so I'm feeling pretty good. And we're going to swim and then wrap up the show. All right, that's it. Out. Bing. All right, let's take a break and let's talk about Amrita bars. I freaking love Amrita bars. Longtime sponsor. I've actually been trail running with their owner, and they have a good backstory as well. They were making nutrition-friendly, non-allergenic, like healthy, good food for their kid, and because he had some bad allergies, and they were trying to figure out something that was really happy and healthy for him. And the dad is a cyclist, and he's like, well, let's make it so that you can also eat it while on the bike and before workouts, during workouts and such. And they came up with Amrita bars. And Amrita means nectar of the gods. From India is where the owner's from. So it's really cool ingredient list with lots of really neat stuff. And let me tell you another story. The other day I went for a workout, and I went for a run, and I ate most of a bar before the run, and I thought that I had eaten a squid that it was fighting a sperm whale at the same time, and put that in my guts. And I mean, it was a nightmare. And then days before and also days after, I've also eaten Amrita bars before a workout, and it's smooth. It doesn't hurt your stomach at all. It's so much better. And they come in a really easy to handle wrapper. You can open the end of it and then take just a bite, and then put the wrapper back into your jogging shorts or back into your cycling jersey or on the side of the pool. And they're actually really easy to handle, and you can kind of squeeze out more bar as you go along. And let's see, what else do they have? They reduces inflammation because it's low in allergens. It doesn't freeze. If you're going on bike rides and such, or runs in really cold weather, they won't get hard. There's always nice and chewy. Great for early morning rides. That's exactly my point, is you can get up and eat half or all of an Amrita bar, as much as you want, and then jog out the door, and your stomach will feel great. It's really, really cool. And let's see, what else do they have? We have a discount code. Well, there's a club. You get 20% off. But I want you to try discount code ZEN2016 at amritahealthfoods.com. And yeah, Zen 2016. It's really good stuff, man. It's great fuel for those bike rides, easy to digest, but has great, easy to digest fats, so you can actually carry less for longer rides. Yeah, 1 bar. Oh man, I got an 18-wheeler pulling up next to me. This is going to be in a commercial for like 3 episodes. And there's the UPS truck. Oh my God. Okay, they're gone. Let's get back to it. I need those commercials from you people where you're going to record your own. I know there's lots of you out there that really enjoy Amrita bars. And also, so make your ads and send them in. Again, textsophornia@gmail.com. If you think you can make a better ad than this, I'd like to hear it. And then I'd like to play it. And they have really cool gear. One of my favorite kits to wear, and I wear it in a lot of races. Oh, by the way, I need to tell Amrita, I tore my jersey in a crash, and I need to get another one. And I think I wore the Amrita socks to work the other day, cycling socks, and I wear them for cycling and running. Really high quality stuff. Amrita jerseys. They got a triathlon kit, cycling kit, and it's a really cool logo. It's black with kind of a rainbow colored like lotus leaf, and it's just really, really cool looking stuff. And people are always, they look at it and they go, Amrita, and then they look at me and I'm like, yeah, and they say, what is that? I go, it's awesome, and you need to eat it. Lots of it. All right, so go check out amritahealthfoods.com, and yeah, let's go ahead and get back to the episode. Here we go. All right, we are back. Swim done. Hey, there's a dude running down the side of the freeway. Be careful. But go, dude, go. All right, I need to slow down. Make sure I'm not speeding. Let's see. Nice little swim. Did intervals of 15 minutes. Just cruising easy and then slowly working the pace and then going hard the last 100 yards. Nice stuff. Felt really good. Taking about a 30-second break, maybe a minute, probably 30 seconds between to recover, and then starting over again with nice clean form, and then moving on up and trying to keep the same pace and fatiguing until where I'm burning up towards the end. And yeah. Okay, so now we're going to wrap up the show. The reason I haven't put out much shows lately is because the intensity of training for an Ironman just takes up so much time. And you're like, well, you don't train all the time. What about your downtime? Your downtime, you're so, I don't know, discombobulated and just trying to keep the pieces of life together. Everything starts falling apart. If you make training a priority, everything else becomes really low priority. It's really selfish and it sucks. I remember when on the way back to the house, I told Emily and Kai I was so sorry for them having to come out and get me, to take a half hour out of their day. And then it puts me an hour later where we wanted to go do stuff in the afternoon, and now I've put a dent in that because of my drama. And we did go see Central Intelligence with The Rock, Dwayne Johnson in it, and Kevin Hart, and that is really, really good, man. It's a great movie. I highly recommend it. So anyway, my point is it's 3 weeks until race day, and that means starting to taper, starting to have a whole lot more free time, and then you get antsy, so I'll probably put out more show content and tweet more and talk more about stuff because I'll have more time and more energy, which is really, really cool. So I appreciate everybody sticking with me and being tolerant of fewer shows while we wrap this up. But also, speaking of that, this morning I've been listening to the Science of Ultra podcast, which is put on by some kind of doctor. And if you can get through the tone of his voice, because he's got this kind of high-pitched, scratchy voice, like maybe he had throat surgery or something, that, man, the content is really, really good. And he's interviewing a guy, this episode 31, that's an expert scientist, researcher in intervals and what kind of intervals work best, how to do intervals and all that stuff, and what the research shows, and how to mix in more intervals with your training and not have to train as much. I can tell you, like, from my own perspective, they never said this, but when you do an interval, you really push hard and you stretch beyond your normal range of motion. So imagine you're running really hard and fast while you're lifting your knees higher, for example, and that's just one part of your body, pumping your arms harder and everything. So the range of motion and the torque on that further range of motion, you'll never get that if you're not doing intervals. And during a race, if you're pushing it going uphill or something like that, and you've never trained that kind of stuff, of course you're going to be worse at it. So you need to train that stuff. And it's also like all time effective and all that. But anyway, episode 31, Science of Ultra, recommend that as a podcast to subscribe and listen to. They did a lot on heat training and sodium and all kinds of great stuff. Really, really good scientific podcast. And we might have a female superstar swimmer on an upcoming show. Somebody says that they know her and she might like to be on the show. So I'm going to work on that as my next interview. And then you also never know what's going to happen. So, all right, everybody stay safe out there. Hydrate. Hydrate. Weigh yourself before and after most workouts. Get an idea of how much you need. I need 2 water bottles per hour, for example. So part of staying safe out there is staying hydrated. Work the uphills, cruise the downhills, charge your Di2 shifters, and keep the rubber side down, out.